our first Talia that we've seen, Rude Dude?
I think we may have had one previously, but I'm working on two different regions. I've seen a lot of Talia
Yeah.
over in North America, so this is like not new to me at all. I think that this
It's
fits
new
the
to me.
Taken
I'm
playstyle
excited.
though.
I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Expected here is just Gwen, I think. Right? This champion
Yeah.
didn't get banned, should just be the pickup. And yeah, I
Senna
was
as
gonna
well.
say, Senna Tom Kench was played by Go last time out. They have every opportunity now to lock in both. I think that they go for the Gwen here, though. They've sort of cemented their Senna, and then they can go for Tom on 3, and just feel confident in what they've already picked up.
Yeah, I think that is likely to be the chance. I think if we want to talk about the matchup in specific, while some of these top lane picks come through, NUQ, very impressive first week as a rookie coming in. Technically speaking, a rookie in the LFL, obviously played in another region before this. Had a very good week one in terms of getting that dominance on the top side. Go was a team, they benefited from a lot of early skirmishing, which explains why they wanted to go for the Viego on the blue side in terms of their priority. They've not gotten it here, they've gotten the Gwen instead. Pairing up against Karmine Corp, they're a team. We spoke about this at the beginning of the day. They've defaulted almost back to that spring split style. They're very much the hand terror roaming up, dive play style. It's difficult to do on 12.10 with these turrets doing so much more damage. But Volley Bear is a classic pick of that kind of way they're playing. Do you think it's the case that maybe they might not have adapted to 12.10? What are you expecting to see different from Karmine Corp for this week?
I don't know about any adapting to 12-10 styles. I think they're just playing their comfort game, and so far, it's gone to a moderate amount of success. 1-on-1 is about as moderate as it gets. They've taken this Volley Bear, and you talked about Volley Bear, or you talked about champions or turrets rather dealing a lot of damage to champions. Volley Bear obviously turns off those turrets. This is a really good answer by Carmine Corp. The answer to the Gwen that we tend to see very frequently is that Jax, either Jax or Akali, but they've got so much magic damage already that the Jax really does make a lot of sense. Now for Go, when they've got this R3 pick, you expect it to be that pairing of the Senna in the bot lane, or of course they can, chance their arm and try and match junglers, because there's already been a very heavy pinching of that jungle pool. Wukong, Viego, and Lee Sin all gone away. Instead, going to be that Karma, and we expect that this is Ronaldo picking the Karma once again for the mid lane.
I like this. You kind of, what you're talking about, they had to maybe pair off the junglers because it might be a pool that gets pinched. By taking the Karma here, you can flex it into the mid lane, like you said, with Ronaldo plays it as well. It's what he played in his day one game, game one, rather. As we see some of the bans out here, I am expecting it to be the case that the Go jungle pool really gets pinched here for Kareem. We've seen him on a few different champions so far. See, only 2 games to pick from, so it's not exactly the biggest sample size. But I mean, Gwen, I think, is it something that we see going jungle at all nowadays? You obviously will have seen it more in your NA casts. Is it typically speaking 90% of the time in top lane?
So far, I would say 100% top lane is all that I've seen for Gwen. But I'm not saying that it can't go into the jungle. I know that one of the NA junglers was very proficient Gwen in the jungle when it was good, but I think that largely she sort of reclaimed her throne in that top lane more so than anything else. I expect it to go there. There is that chance, and we should put it out there that Kareem can flex that jungle if they want to, or can flex this Gwen to the jungle if they want to. But you can see that Karmine Corp obviously in a little bit of a pinch. They can either go for that jungle pinch, or they can take away these really good pairings with the Senna. The Tom Kent's your first of choice, likely be a Scion if they're going to continue hemming down these really bad lanes, or lanes that they don't like to play with Senna. And we'll have to sort of see which of those it is ending up taking off the ban table. 2 choices so far.
And what do you think that Go really opts in for here? Do they take the jungler on 4 and then play for a potential support or mid lane counter pick, or do they want to, just cement that and then maybe look for a jungler here?
I think that this should just be their bot laner, or honestly, no, this should just be their jungler. Excuse me, because they already know what they're going up against topside, and if there's something a little bit more out there that they've got planned for Wagnerom, who we expect to play the non-faster in this lane, we need to see what that's going to be. So far, the Nocturne coming through, like we say, that jungle pick, they knew what they were going up against top lane. Not the greatest versus the Jax Volley Bear. I don't think that it's going to be too easy to get that early game dueling, but Nocturne's never been about that necessarily. And I wouldn't even be surprised to see Seraphine come through on 5 for Wagner. This is a bit of a bot lane that's starting to rise again to prevalence. Maybe we just get to see Senna Seraphine and complete, not necessarily bot lane domination, but more war of attrition style of play.
Rakan's on the table here, Xayah pairing off with it. The problem for me is that Rakan kind of struggle. We talked about this earlier. Some of its worst matchups are these enchanters, and with the enchanters being strong on the patch might be a bit difficult. Gives Go a lot of a chance here to respond with something great on R5. I wouldn't be surprised if Hantara opts into something else. Could be Renata's open, isn't it? Could be the Renata, maybe. Not
Yeah,
sure. What do you
I
think
think
about that?
that the thing with Rakan is that Rakan always engages. It doesn't matter that he has a bad laning phase. Rakan still does what Rakan does in the late game, regardless of having had a bad lane, right? The thing is that, yes, you may well struggle through that early game. But when you're in a center lane, you tend to struggle anyway. So picking this Rakan to do what Rakan does and find those late game engages makes a lot of sense. And if you do pivot to
Ooh.
Hantera toward this topside style, that's going to be what you want to see.
I thought we were seeing like a spicy L9 hard.
Seraphine. Come on.
I thought we were going to see like a spicy hard style L9 Kassadin remix in the mid lane, but we unfortunately don't get that. It's going to be the standard Seraphine Senna. It's a lane that's pretty strong. I've been hearing about it in NA. I actually took the chance to take a walk. It was like a take your play-by-play to work day. I was watching NA a little bit. It was nice. I saw the Senna Seraphine, supposedly quite a strong composition. I like the composition that Go has built in response to what does Karmine Corp's composition do? Explain it to me, rude dude.
They have some really good side lane pressure this game. They have got, not necessarily double globals, but they've got Volibear, who's very good at focusing a side lane. Cabochard, very good at split pushing. Seiken with the Weaver's Wall is going to be very good at getting into side lanes as well. That's that first semi-global that does exist. They've got pretty safe wave clear through that mid lane with Reckless, despite the fact that Xayah, needs to get a couple autos down. It can be done, and, finding that shouldn't be too difficult, particularly as the Xayah, you've got that Featherstorm if we do see heavy engagements from Nuke, from Karim on that topside duo. And I do want to touch a little bit more on this Team Go composition because it is something that's starting to come out. It's a little bit newer. I've seen it a fair few times. There was a couple of amateur teams over in North America that I'd seen pilot this exact same bot side composition where they've effectively got 2.5 supports, right? Where we've got Senna on one side who pseudo acts as a support, but also acts as this damage carry the later we go into the game. And then double enchanters, double shielders, right? What's stronger than one enchanter? It's 2 enchanters. We take Karma, we take Seraphine, and our front line, even though we don't have tanks necessarily, our Nocturne and our Gwen never really die because they can have so much effect or so much temporary health with the way those shields function. So with that, plus the Dawning Shadow coming over the top as well, you have 2 divers with a Senna Seraphine in the backline that you can use the Encore for, you can use Dawning Shadow. And the way that this composition effectively works is you just want a team fight. As soon as you hit level 6, hit those items, team fighting is all that Go want to go for.
Yeah, completely. Would you say it's fair to say we saw this Nocturne earlier in the day? It's a champion that obviously you want to full clear. It's like you want to be getting to that level 6 mark as soon as possible, obviously. What kind of options with the style that KC plays, with this Volibear that likes to go for these level 3 plays, how easy is it for Go to kind of temper the fates or temper the aggression that KC might be able to output in this early game?
I'm going to say it's not too easy. I do think that is where their composition is lacking. There's not too much that Go have in the early stages to deal with Karmine Corp, but we'll have to see what they can do because we do have game number 3 ready to go. So the Rift will be up and ready just a couple seconds time.
And we are on to the Rift for game 3 of the day. It's going to be Go coming up against Karmine Corp, the reigning EU Masters champions. And they are looking to continue their form on from that tournament. Obviously, a bit of a shaky week 1. Go, in contrast, having a very strong week 1 as we see the 5-man is kind of doing their Abbey Road Beetle walk down. You see them descending. We don't know what's waiting for them. It could be 5 people on the other side right now, and we wouldn't know.
It's not.
It's not. Surprise.
Unfortunately, we are heading for a very boring 5-man split for Karmine Corp. Hate to see it. No level 1 engagements. Not what we wanted. But Go are going for this early aggressive ward. It's like into the jungle. He should be fine here. This is just going to be warding down and expect that on the bot side there'd be like a translation ward from Reckless and Hantera to put a little bit more vision down. But it looks like KC, they may want to fight here. I'm not sure.
We're just getting Seiken a little bit of DPM numbers out. Nice to see.
Delay the backs.
Not quite. Reckless and Hantera might offer a bit of interference. They're quite a ways away from bot lane with it being 10 seconds to red spawning. They're looking for a late invader, looks like. Going to be bullying Karim off of this red buff, and that means that he has to start on the blue buff. might have maybe liked to have been pathing towards this bot lane, but doesn't seem to be the case anymore. He's going to actually just go for a solo start onto the Wolves.
Okay. All right, so steal away at the Raptor Captain.
You had to take a brief second there. Some auspicious stars being presented thus far.
Yeah, it's not a level 1 that we're used to. Now this is Volibear kind of doing what Volibear can do and just solo invading. Now,
Dream is coming to this.
Yeah, everybody's going to battle. This is going to be another fight, I feel like.
Here he goes. He gets the E onto 113 now. Smite is going to be available for both of them. Volibear's going to be the one who gets it. 113 gets it. He has level 2 now. Can Kareem find the fight here? He can't. And this is a massive victory for Team KC thus far in this game. And Kareem has to walk the walk of shame back to his blue buff as a massive advantage thus far for 113.
Yeah, I mean, it is very hard to outsmite Volibear. He gets W2 plus E plus smite. And you time that with an auto attack, that's like 700 effective damage inside a second. If you can frame perfect all of those, there's just no chance you outsmite. And 113 nails the combo, nails the smite down, and Kareem really doesn't have a lot to say about it. His solo lane's kind of forced into dueling. You can see that Cabo and Seiken, even though we couldn't see it, but on the minimap they were always pressuring, sort of threatening, hey, if you move now, we're going to move with you and make your life miserable.
Yeah, and this is one of the things we talked about. I mentioned it to you before we started the game, is how much, in terms of a safety net for the early aggression that can come up from Karmine Corp, how much of a safety net is there? Answer seems to be thus far in terms of the map setup that Karmine Corp have gone for, not much, and it could actually translate to an even bigger lead in the oncoming minutes.
Yeah, Volibear does really well with these winning lanes. Obviously, they got counterpick in top lane, and the Karma is never really picked to be that lane-dominant threat. More so just here to facilitate everything that we're going to be doing a little bit later on in the game. So, for the most part, 113 going to be very happy to kind of play with impunity at this stage in the game. Kind of just go around and do what he wants.
Yeah, completely the case. And talk me through this matchup, because we saw Smiley play the Senna Tahm Kenshi in the day one. We obviously know that he plays it. How does this Seraphine lane differ to that traditional lane? Are they in danger of being engaged on by Rakan at all times? Or do they have a bit more stopping power than I might imagine in my head?
They're in danger of being engaged on. They're never really in danger of dying, I think is the important caveat.
That's the important part, yeah, okay.
Because worst case scenario is we have, you know, 2 heals effectively, plus summon a heal. We've got Senna Q plus Empowered W from Wagner. If you know, like the worst case scenario does come to be, we can use Empowered W to get out to safety, get a bit more movement speed. You then also got the Shroud from Senna, which means it's even more difficult to try and close that gap. Sometimes Rex can't auto attack, you can't see anyone. The safety of this bot lane is rather unparalleled. So these engagements that Hantera may look for are going to largely be ineffective, and this is honestly why I think that Karmine Corp have got a good little early game matchup, because Hantera really doesn't have to do anything in this game or in the laning phase. He can just sort of move about the map, and it'll have largely the same impact.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally we see this is around the time that Hantera, you know, puts his tent down and somewhere else on the map and starts roaming around. He's not quite managed to get to that. Does a lot of that owe to some of the pushing power that this Senna and Seraphine have? Can they keep Hantera in this laning phase, or is it going to be the case that we see him roaming soon, like you said?
I think they can. Seraphine certainly has push power. It's more so that Wagner is being very conservative with the mana, and they're dictating where the lane is at important points. You can see that with Kareem starting on that dragon, it looks like, or at least on that bot side, you'd imagine if they wanted to go for it, there'd be that push coming through, and Magnum just sort of says, hey, you know what, now you want to go for the Drake, fine, we'll push in this bot wave. It looks like Seiken on that roam, push and roam style. There's a blast cone, or rather,
as Ghost available, Wagner dodges out from Hantera's W there, which means they do get alerted to the play, especially now with 113 clearing out that ward. Crisis averted for now. But when we get to that level 6 mark from Nocturne, it's going to be even more danger, I suppose.
Yeah, that Scuttle Crab from the bot side, Green managed to take that, and it sort of alerted them to the play just in time for that Hantera engage to come through, so everybody gets out to safety. Like I say, you're in danger of getting engaged on, you're never really in danger of dying.
Q has 6
here. Yeah, small
window.
6
goes aggressively. That's going to be a solo kill for the young rookie that we talked about having such an impressive week 1. It does end up being a trade, but with that wave in tandem, that is going to be a very good trade for NUQ, and exactly what Go will have needed to bounce back in this early game.
Yeah, and if that second wave crashes under the turret, which I think it will, it's going to start to bounce back out as well, and it gives NUQ the window then to come away with a very sizable advantage. Remember that this Jax is picked as the counter to the Gwen. NUQ finding that solo kill is not something that you anticipate would happen, but that Ignite difference in the top lane really showing up, really having that impact that, you know, was so desperately needed, I suppose. And with that happening, Go's composition revolves largely around having two really strong carries. One of them is going to be Nucleo, the other expected to be Smiley a little later on in the game. One of them gets accelerated, it makes their comp function much, much better.
Yeah, indeed, and we're getting to that point now. We talked about Seiken. You spoke about how this was a pick that you feel like enables his style. He likes to go for that heavy roam play style. He's now level 6. Where do you think he's going to be trying to put that pressure towards in regards to his roams and his ultimates?
Well, you know, we're looking to see if they can go top or bot lane, honestly. Tilly just wants to affect either side lane. When
well, that's an easy answer. That's an easy answer.
I'm answering. When you've got Gwen top side matchup, right, you kind of have to affect this volatile lane, and they're looking to do that right now. But look at the map. Karmine is here. I just don't know if it's enough.
Kareem is here. He's rather low health, has the half-pound axe in his inventory. Here comes 113. They can disable the turret here. NUQ is back. Cabashard's done a good job of finding Kareem here. Target selection is good so far. NUQ has to get back under this turret and collect this massive wave. Ronaldo is here now, though. Seiken has to flash out potentially in a second or so. NUQ goes quite low. Volibear E is down here. Talia gets a response kill. Cabashard goes low as well. Can Ronaldo find it? Q will do it. And that is going to be, in conclusion, 2 kills for the side of Go, 2 kills for the side of Karmine Corp. Go do a very good job of responding. Oh. Reckless has just flashed into the Seraphine ult. He's going to walk away from it.
The flash buys the distance, and that's what's important. It doesn't matter that he's, you know, still gets caught by it. It means that Smiley can't follow up with the damage so far underneath the turret. A 2 for 2 in the top side, though, and overall it is Go that just about come out on top. There's a big wave that's caught, unfortunately, by Ronaldo. Initially, I was going to say that it's fine that Kareem went and sacrificed himself because Nucleo would have been able to stay for the massive wave under the turret. Unfortunately, that didn't get to be the case, right? You can look at this massive stack that's coming in. The fact that Kareem walks up here and is then the focus, it's honestly fine overall. You know, he even buys a little bit of time, gets the flash from Cabo. Overall, not the worst case scenario. And then Ronaldo comes in, kind of a savior because they are going to go for the redive here. The fact that they get 2 from this is really good.
Yeah, really huge individual performances there. It's always scary when you're playing a champion like Karma. Luckily, Cabo goes low enough, but when you start getting, like, if he has the E back in a second or so, then you start to get a little bit afraid, but they are able to find the return kills there, which means very good things for them, obviously equaling up the gold lead. And Kareem has ulted into the mid lane here. He's going to get the paranoia onto the Talia there, but Dos is here to respond. This is going to be the first ultimate from Nocturne of the game, and not much being able to be found.
No, Hantera making his roam into the mid lane here, Jake. Making the presence felt. Nice little boop from Seiken as well.
God, I'm thinking of Dos's Rakan from last game. That's
it's okay, I've done it before. We all have. It was a good little boop from Seiken, honestly. Probably didn't need Hantera to be there, but good overall to, you know, have that presence of mind. Gets a nice little boop away and himself alive in that case. No flash extended either, which is really good when the 5v5 starts to come through, when we see these engagements more so a little bit later on. Having that flash ready if you want to try and channel or change some CC between both 1-1-3 and then Seiken as well.
Yuki might be in trouble here. He's going to get stunned out. Hantera comes in with the quickness. He's going to be getting the charm out in a second or so. Center ultimate response is not going to be enough. It's another kill for 1-1-3. And that top lane matchup that was going so well, it was propping up Go in this early game, getting that kill response, is now falling to pieces. 2 quick deaths in succession for the Go top laner.
Yeah, and this is what I was hoping for from Cabo and from Karmine Corp. You expect them to play toward their top lane. You always look to this team to facilitate Cabashard and set up for a snowball in the top side. Even though he got killed early on and his wave wasn't in the best position, Karmine Corp do what Karmine Corp do best, and they hammer down any opponent that try and challenge their top side. Get that turret, get a couple kills now as well. Really good timings on their plays. The response on the opposite side of the map has been pretty negligible. You know, 3 plates falling and a CS deficit for Wagnerom is not necessarily the worst thing.
Ultimate comes out. Zarya ultimate obviously going to be primed in response. It is going to be a trade-off of those cooldowns, but Cabashard was able to pick up this tier 2 as well. It's not just a tier 1, and he is going to be so accelerated. I'm not entirely sure, because remember in week 1, I said, can we do this on production? And you said that we couldn't. Pretty sure we can. Can we look at the gold gap between the top laners now, please, production? Okay, and as you can see, quick maths, that's around 1600 gold lead. A lot of that gold lead that you're seeing at the top of your screen is actually coming from Cabochard now. He's really enabled going forwards now to carry this game. Wagner gets a little bit here, but Senna W in response is going to be a little bit of damage in response. 113 is coming around the side though.
Spotted on a ward. Nice forward warding from Team Ghostbot side there. You can see the one that's just lurking behind, one that Karmine Corp aren't actually going to spot out. So they're just operating under, great game sense from the Go bot lane. Really good that they just expect that that gank comes through at that window. They had full vision. They knew it was coming through, and then they quite rightly back off accordingly. So nice little play down on the bot side for Go, and this is composition that we were talking about. We didn't expect it to be winning early. We expected Karmine Corp to be able to pretty much dictate the early game. For Karmine Corp, the question becomes, how much more can they do? Can they continue to push the snowball down the hill and take the win of the game? Or are they going to start to struggle, start to hemorrhage that lead and potentially have some troubles? They have got a very fed top laner. Cabochard completed his mythic, got tier 2 boots, which is giving him some tenacity, which up against this team can be very useful. And, he's the fed member of Karmine Corp right now. Needs to start facilitating leads and growing their advantage.
We need to start doing a segment on our little cast together of how many Lucidity boots per game, because...
True.
It's starting to get ridiculous. 3 on the side of Go, 1 on the side of Karmine Corp. It's not quite similar to Game Ward's 5. Oh, 4 on Go now. It's an ongoing of the Go Lucidity boots. Obviously a lot stronger. I hadn't quite accounted for the fact that ability haste would be stronger on this patch. Can you explain that to me? Get my head wrapped around that?
No, I can't.
Okay.
I haven't done the math. I haven't worked it out. We'll move on.
And run the numbers. Well, I was hoping... I'm rather stupid in this regard. I was really relying on you there.
More cooldowns, more damage against more health is good.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. Going to be a potential dive happening here. They do clear out the ward. Nocturne is stuck in that mid lane, clearing out the ward. Teleport is available. Going rather slowly. Here comes Reckless. Here comes 113. Flash forward. Teleport in response almost immediately. Seraphino comes out. Senna does not get out quite in this end there. He does go down eventually before he can prime it. It's a quick kill in succession in response to the teleport. Karmine Corp get what they want and walk away.
Yeah, it's the game of chicken that these guys are playing, right? You have those TPs that you don't want to use if they don't go for the dive, but that you have to use to defend against the dive. So Karmine Corp pull the trigger, they get in, they get out, and they've done it before that TP can come through. And ultimately, a Karma TPing down is a much different story to a Gwen TPing down. Karma's going to provide a little shield to somebody and potentially a little splash of damage. But if a Gwen TP's down there, that can potentially turn the fight round 3 for 3. Now, overall, it's still a very good play for Karmine Corp. They don't get the turrets. They'll be able to repeat on that if they so desire. They do burn a lot of summoner spells. On the flip side, we've got rid of Smiley's Flash plus Exhaust, the TP that we mentioned from Ronaldo. So a really nice positive play, and once again, looking to accelerate their goal.
Yeah, and absolutely rooted. We spoke about how that safety net is not available for Go in this early game. Now we got onto a point where the blunt force trauma of some of these top lane players, 113's early aggression, is meaning that Go are hemorrhaging at the seams. What kind of a band-aid do they have in response to this game? Can they get towards this next dragon? Can they find something, and what does it come in the form under?
Their team fighting is still very good. They still have a very good 5v5 setup. If they can set up with that, initial engagement, potentially use that paranoia not just to be that disengaged tool, and go with Nuku, go with Kareem, and use the Ronaldo shield to potentially set them all up, right? We've seen Mantra E plus Shirelia's here can do, is a better Sivir ulti for a short period of time, and then you've got the extra shielding that can come through, support from Seraphine and Senna with their ults. Karmine Corp, like I say, they can repeat on this with the turret down, not being down here. They just go again. Reaver's wall ready too.
Here. Ronaldo is very late to this, but it is going to mean some of the push is stapled. Slowed down at least for now. Nice little bit of map play. It is going to mean that Karmine Corp do have first move onto this dragon. Cheeky, this is my least favorite thing that top laners do. Look at NUQ, man. You got the solo kill, you got killed a few times, and now you're taking your jungler's red, man. So ungrateful, these laners. It's not going to be any use. It's not going to be any use for you anyway.
I disagree. Gwen is very good with a red buff. Gwen is very good with a red buff.
No, but I mean more. Do you think this red buff means this matchup he's able to play against Jax now?
Well, clearly Cabochard thinks that. Well, maybe Cabochard thinks that a 4v1's a little too much in fairness.
Yeah, well, he's not that strong yet.
It doesn't matter whether he can turn the tides or not. It's more of a statement piece. I can take this, Drake. I can take this red buff. What are you going to do about it here, Kareem?
I'm talking from purely jungler bias. It's going to be Jack's getting caught out a little bit here, but he's going to be retreating back to his jungle. Purely from a jungler's perspective, it's my least favorite thing to see Elena walk away with my buff before 20 minutes or so. We're obviously at 16 minutes now. So, you know, I'm going to admit to a bit of emotional immaturity, rude dude. My nerves really flared up there.
I mean, look at Kareem's build thus far. We are sat on the components of a stride breaker.
I feel like he's had these items for about 10 minutes now.
Yeah, and you're probably right. These are like, you know, second clear base items, effectively, right? Tier 2 boots in there, you know, that's the second clear item.
He must have a fair amount of gold, no? Production, can we see how much gold? Can we see how much gold Kareem has right now?
We're testing. Production.
Testing.
Gold.
Yeah, he's got 1,500 gold right now. He's got a third of his whole purse, essentially.
That's a lot.
I was wondering, isn't it? We spoke about how Boris can be kind of a cruel shopkeeper sometimes. And it seems to be that Kareem's credit card is not entirely maxed out. He's going to be able to buy something when he goes back to base. What he buys is brought up for question. It seems to be building towards that. Stride breaker that we see for the Nocturne quite often, obviously falling behind somewhat in the economy, is go, but there are chances. They are moving towards that inevitable win condition of getting to that later phase of the game. Rude dude, how is the game shaping up for them in terms of can they hemorrhage? Can they stabilize it? It's going to be an ultimate. Wagner is caught between a rock and a hard place here. He is going to come out in response. They go quite low, but there is so much stopping power. The Rift Herald is going to be in the mid lane. Turret goes down there. Wagner has to flash out. It's a good ultimate in response, though. Here comes Nuku. Hantera goes forward. He goes into stasis. They need to find him almost immediately. The Seraphine cooldowns were not timed entirely well here. There's so much shields, so much stopping power that we talked about. Cabochard has to flash away here now. The fight has come to an end now. They can't find much more than the mid turret. This is how we talked about this composition from Go. So many shields, so much healing.
A lot of pretty colours, a lot of summoner spells, but no kills. Karmine Corp not quite able to finish the job. The mana bars of Team Go severely lacking, but Ronaldo, Smiley, Wagner, they've got enough power between them to keep the composition alive, to keep everybody going. I was thinking, why are Wagner and Ronaldo not just flashing when they get pent behind that wall? They're just like, we don't need to. We've got 4,000 effective health.
We're not in danger. We're not locked in here. You're locked in here with us.
Exactly. I was so questioning that, and then all of a sudden they just live, and I'm like, well, I guess that makes a lot of sense. They, you know, use their team fighting composition to team fight, and when you're down in gold, going even is always better. And the fact that they don't lose anybody, very good. Like we mentioned, you know, a lot of cooldowns burned by Karmine Corp that aren't going to be available if there was to be another fight impending soon.
Ocean Soul. I feel like we've had so many Ocean Souls today, Rude Dude. Yeah, well, yeah, Rude Dude. Thanks for your, thanks for that. That's great. Wonderful stuff.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime, bro. Don't worry about it.
No worries, man. This is the analysis that we get you in for. You were talking about, what were you talking about
earlier?
What do you
want from me? You feel like we've had Ocean Souls? We've had Ocean Souls. What do you want? Oh, yeah, the Ocean Soul percentage is 20% every game.
Oh, yeah, that's your job, you nerd. You're the color caster. You're meant to come out with all the nerdy statistics and stuff like that. So far, there's going to be an ultimate coming out from Saken, but it is just getting away from this turret, move towards this tier 2 bottom lane. It's actually quite an underrated usage of that, but Nuku, really trying to get them off this turret here. So tier 2 not quite yours yet.
No, and quite rightly, you don't want to be just giving up that much gold for free. It is effectively 2 kills worth, shared between everybody when there's a lot of people around. So you're getting away with using that Weaver's Wall for ultimately nothing. It's a good little bit of chip damage, and potentially if Team Go look for something on the other side of the map, they can use the fact that there's a little bit more damage on that tier 2 to accelerate toward base. But by and large, nothing particularly scary by Karmine Corp from that play in particular. I want to quickly touch on the item build for Cabochard. He's gone for the Wit's End and the Mercury Tread, obviously hemming very heavily into that magic resistance. And when we look at the physical damage for Go, yes, Nocturne does physical damage, but he's not going to be trying to focus down Cabo. It is going to be relying on exclusively Smiley to be that physical damage threat. Who, yes, we mentioned Senna doesn't farm, is still, doing okay in the department of items, has got, the full Eclipse completed, working toward that rapid fire cannon. But getting through Cabochard is going to be very difficult because this Senna is still on a support and a half's income. And the rest of the team is going to be dealing magic damage to a Jax with a lot of MR.
Yeah, completely agree with you, Rude Dude. What's this dragon now? 2 seconds is the spawn timer. Go realize they can't really do this. They have benefited from taking that first dragon, which means that win condition is going to get slightly slowed down for Karmine Corp. But it can't be stated enough that this is a 5,000 gold lead, and although that gold lead is going to mean less and less as the game goes on, right now they are capitalizing on this gold lead, moving towards these turrets, building their pressure along the map, moving these vision lines forward. And when that Baron does become on the table, which it already is obviously, but when it becomes more of an option for them, should be seeing them pivot their aggression towards this, because I think I would be right in saying, Rude Dude, they need to close out this game relatively soon. Yeah,
they do. They certainly want to close this out sooner rather than later. That's not an
You know, all-mountain response here. Karmine goes in deep. They're all routed here. Ronaldo's going to be getting engaged on counter. It's a big Seraphine ult, only one. That means 113 gets to find his way out here. It's a big engaged counter from Seiken in the backline here. They're trying to find anything here. Kabashard going quite low here. Nuku is gone in quite deep here. Hantera finds the quickness onto him, which means that his engage is stopped for now. And this is the key theme of some of these fights so far. So many cooldowns being burnt, but not enough being able to be found by both sides.
They're going to go for the Baron here. Nuku is heading the wrong direction. I think it's just a clearing of vision and making sure that everything's good to go. I thought people heading up to that top side. I was like, huh, okay, bold. They do have the sustain for it, but you know, like you say, right, it is just a lot of these cooldowns being thrown, not a lot of kills being able to be generated. Because on one side, there's a lot of shielding coming through from Go. On the same side, there's not a lot of damage yet. They're still waiting for their center to tick up. Still waiting for that Gwen to hit 2 items, hit that 3rd item as well, potentially. Or she's going to be a complete monster. And Nuku sat with the Riftmaker and the Nash's components. Not quite that present threat that is going to destroy a team fight yet.
And it sounds silly to say with a 6,000 or 7,000 gold lead essentially. But what did Karmine Corp need to win a decisive fight?
They need picks, I think. Like we've mentioned, if Go were in a 5v5, they're going to be near impossible to kill because they have got Darkness to stop any engage, to potentially stop any engages, to slow them down at the very least. They've got a ton of shields from a lot of players, and they're going to consistently struggle to try and find it. Alternatively, it's Kabashard in a side lane. Potentially he can find the 1v1 versus Nuku, has itemized very heavily toward it. So that's your best window to try and pick things off. We talked about it in the draft that we were hoping for side laning from Karmine Corp, and I think that this is how they're going to look to do it. Force a Baron, and they can either use TP from Cabo, or just get the TP from Nuku, and then send Cabo back down to that side lane.
You're going quite low, almost immediately, as they do get off of it. I think they're just more so looking to get that teleport burned from Nuku so they can look to revisit afterwards. But they do have the option to just turn back and forward, play the dance around the Baron, force a move from Go, force a bit more here.
Well, they don't have the indefinite sustain that Team Go do, but with Kabashard around, it looks like they're already just going to commit to this. You know, 5k on it, they can go.
Around 3k now. Hantera hasn't engaged off to the side here. It's going to go low. 1k is it? It's going to be a Paranoia goes in here. Karmine not going to have that much ability to do much here. It's the case now. Can Karmine Corp walk out with the Baron here? Oh, we're trying to find something. They don't have primary engage though. And just sneak away here. And they're not going to be able to find anything. It's going to be the case that Go pivot towards that mid lane. We spoke about this. We keep talking about how the gold lead is going to end up meaning good things for Go, but they have to get to that point. Right now, it is a pretty insurmountable amount of gold to have at this point in time. And KC are doing a good job of keeping on to that, further consolidating the lead. There's an aggressive teleport coming from the back line here. Kabashar going to come in from a flank here, has the flash available as well. Actually, Prime and E here doesn't quite find it, but it's going to mean that this push here for this 2-2 in the mid lane is going to be potentially more fruitful. Bad choke for Go. Here comes Kabashard, finds the stun onto Vignerum here. He's going to get his stun up in turn. They're all going to get pushed away here with the Talia ult. Kabashard's over there trying to get rid of Karmine. Find the tier 2 now. And Go are going to be hard pressed to reset in time to stop an inhibitor from falling. It's going to be KC marching on towards this base.
Yeah, really good TP, despite the fact that they don't get the base. It forces them out of mid lane, and then that gives Karmine Corp the priority to walk up through this mid lane, use their Baron to get 2 turrets, get this inhibitor as well. Wave was prepped in the top side as well that they could have moved up there. Looks like they may well look for something. You can see there's a hesitancy.
Comes Karmine, but he's already chunked so hard by the Talia. It's going to be him going in, not quite demonstrating the patience that he needed there, goes straight into his death, and it's going to mean Seiken going forward. A lot of these Qs just railing through the shields of Go. Top lane wave coming in as well is going to mean it's a second inhibitor opening up soon.
Of course, very difficult to try and find a fight with no Nocturne engaged. You don't have Senna ulti either. Seraphine's Encore may be able to dissuade enough of a fight from Karmine Corp, but double inhib, very scary.
Yeah, very scary in terms of being able to clear that out. They're obviously going to be moving towards the third dragon as well. But I don't necessarily think with the way this game is going, it's 2 inhibitors now with the Baron primed up for a minute or so now as well. Should be the case that Go going to be fighting for their lives in this game in the oncoming minutes. Is there any hope left for Go, Mr. Rude Dude? You seem to be the hope merchant around these parts. Always hope.
I think there's always hope. Until the Nexus falls.
I don't know that that's true. There's not always hope, Rude Dude.
In this game, I think there's always hope. Until that Nexus falls, you still have the better teamfight team. Despite the fact that you're down this much gold, I think that, or the fact that you're down this much gold is the issue. But we saw it in just our last game with Mirage, right? You have the better teamfight composition. Who's going to say that, you know, this time it's not going to be a Jinx popping off, but it could well be Smiley able to dish out damage. It could well be Nuke with all of the shielding, with all the damage that can, you know, be that X factor in a team fight. Until the Nexus falls, I think that Go have a chance. They are down so astronomically. Don't get me wrong, this is a very difficult game for them to play out and for them to win, but there's still that chance.
Yeah, I think with the fact that they're going to be moving towards this third inhibitor now, it's going to be even more difficult for them to find anything. Important to note as well is Smiley won't have his flash available for this fight, and they're going to be getting pincered here. It's going to be the Nocturne out in response here. Big engage coming out from Antera means that Smiley tries to find anything here. 1-1-3 going to be walking away from Inyuku here. They're onto the third inhibitor as well, but they're licking their wounds somewhat, Karmine Corp, as they walk away here. Smiley quite low as well. Rattling of Qs comes out from Seiken. Lots of heals and lots of speed ups coming out from the Karma and Seraphine in tandem.
But lots of waves. They get the inhibitor. 3 inhibs are down now, and Go have lost all of their inhibs. Now, KC can just sit and watch the minions destroy their base.
2 big waves coming in from top and mid. As well as a bot lane turret. They're onto the Nexus turret here. It's a big catch onto Ronaldo. He has to flash out. 1-1-3 is forward here. He goes quite low, but the Nexus turret is found. Nuke's doing as much as he can to clear out some of these waves. But here comes your mid wave. Here comes your top wave as well. What can Go do in terms of finding that stopping power? Would it be Karmine Corp taking their foot off the pedal just for a second? It looks to be the case that Seiken is going back to base, and Go lives to fight another day, but for how long?
They have 1 Nexus turret, and the likelihood is that that Baron is going to fall as well. And it should well go the way of Karmine Corp. And then at that point, you have triple waves of double super minions crashing into your Nexus up against a Baron buff as well. That is near indefensible. You need to find a fight immediately if you Go. I like that they tried to get one at that bot lane inhibitor. They didn't come out with the win, and unfortunately, it could just be that sealing of the deal, and that ultimately the game could just be done for now. They need to get out and get a fight before these minions can start to pile up, because even if they get the one team fight, those minions are going to be dishing out so much damage. Smiley's got a ton of souls from all of these minions that are dying, but I don't know that still if that's enough.
Yeah, it seems to be the case for a lot of these fights for Team Go. They try and they survive a long time in these team fights, but they're not necessarily outputting that much damage in response to Karmine Corp, so they're just surviving and choosing the date of their death for a bit longer. But this could be a post-mortem game so far. Kareem goes in, but he gets taken down very low almost immediately. Q will almost do the job, but not quite. Nuke is in deep. Zyro out in response, but Reckless is the one going forward that finds him. It's going to be Smiley going down as well. Vigram getting engaged on by 1-1-3, and that is going to be all that she wrote. Karmine Corp in their third game of the split. Back to regular form after a slight dip of form against Mirage, and they're onto the base now. Very good victory for them.
Yeah, and it was just too little too late, unfortunately. Go knew they had to find the fight, but there were just too many minions that would have done too much damage, and overall Karmine Corp are able to net themselves their second win of the tournament. They level up their scores with Team Go there, and the Senna Seraphine composition just falling a little too far behind